So when I say to my students, I'm gonna just go ahead and feed it. They're like, what do you mean feed it? This is feeding the paper. I'm just very lightly moving it down, up and down, up and down. I'm not hitting it too hard. Isn't that pretty? I'm still moving it because I want that water all over the surface to keep moving. I'm going to leave some holes. I call that a hole, so that I can add some other colors in between. Now it's getting a little dry up in here. How do I know that? Because this is softening and this is a little bit harder. So what do I do about that? Well, that's where we go to the handy dandy. Watch. I am in control. You will listen to me. This is fun. Come on, someone out there's laughing. I can hear you. So see how that softened that edge right back up? So I'm going to add a little bit more blue. And I'm going to rinse in the dirty water first. Take some of that water off. Clean water. And I'm going to go right for the red, filling it up both sides. Look at that red one to play with the blue. You know what color I'm getting soon. What color am I getting soon? Is any kids watching or adults? Red and blue, red and blue. Yep. Purple. Nice. We're going to get these colors to play together. I don't know what kind of scene this would be. Maybe it's just color playing together. Now it's going to want to collect down in here, which you can let it. Just kind of put a piece of paper towel down here. But you don't want to do that too long because you're actually letting your vibrancy of the color leak out. Pretty. I'm not going to let it play too long until I have the yellow in there, because I want my paper to be ready to still take some color. And if I wait too long, I'm not going to get that nice soft glow that I'm not going to get that nice soft edge like I was getting through here. There we go. There are some colors. So this is truly the art of letting go. I know this is going to make some green because I've got some yellow and blue playing together. Now, not all paint is alike. If you go to Michael's, right now I'm babysitting. I'm just moving those colors around. If you go to Michael's, you're going to find a nice tray like this. And that's a great watercolor set, especially if you've got kiddos at home. Pick up a few of them. It should be one per kiddo. They should get their own watercolor tray. And you treat that just a little bit different than what I explained for this watercolor palette. So once this settles a little bit, which this is what I call babysitting, if I were to just leave this alone right here, ooh, I love it, and just walk away from it, these ripples, if you can see them, I open the window so that you can kind of see a little bit of the sheen on that. That ripple right there, this will become kind of a valley for the, so relaxing. Oh, Veronica, I'm so glad you relaxed. This will become a valley for the paint to settle into, which it could be something really fun to work with later on, because we're just kind of working with an organic, I don't know what you'd call it, abstract, if you may, or this could be a poster. We could write beautiful words on this, and that could become something, you know, you kind of work into it. So I don't worry about such things. But if you want a nice airbrush look, like this is already looking like a little bit of an airbrush piece, then you want to keep turning this. See, I can't help myself. I keep turning it. So hopefully I'm not making you dizzy. It's helpful if you can have a blow dryer handy. We use blow dryers in here on low, so we can still hear each other and think. but you still kind of need to babysit it for a bit, because if this is moving still, meaning if I'm going like this and I see some drips, like actual drips, or a little puddle or something, what it does is, if you've ever seen that, that activity where you put some paint down and you take a straw and you blow the straw, blow the paint with a straw anyway, you'd get that, and well, it's a little more unpredictable than what we just did. So if you're looking for the soft airbrush look, then just keep moving it, and the sheen is going to be nice and even with no moving on top. Go ahead and blow dry that until you feel warmth. That's how you know that it's dry enough. So don't just blow dry it until it seems like all the shine is gone. You're still going to have some dampness, and those ripples are going to stay in there until you iron them. And I don't know about you, but I'm not crazy about ironing. So yeah, just keep blow drying it. Use it as your meditation like we do here. You put the blow dryer on it on low. If you're at home, do it on high. You can cheat. And just take some nice deep breaths. I say all the time, use it as a meditation, because this piece of paper is probably going to take at least 3 minutes or more to dry fully until I feel the warmth on the paper. And it's the word love. It's probably backwards where you're looking at it. But I put a resistance, I put the masking fluid on it first, and I allowed it to dry. And I did this with a thin brush, which I'm going to save your brushes, because if you go on Amazon, some of you are probably already ordering this right now as we speak. You need to protect your brushes from that stuff, because as much as you think that it's not going to ruin your brush, everyone learns the hard way, and I'm going to save a brush for you. So this is how you save your brush from the masking fluid. It'll get stuck right down in the metal, and trust me, if you get it up, you're going to mangle your brush in the meantime. So you take a little bit of Dawn in your hand, good opportunity for some extra hand washing, and you just soap it right up. And then you've got some foam in there, and just leave the foam in there. So it doesn't look like there's any foam, you don't have excess. And then you shape the brush, whatever shape you need, whatever size brush you need. And this is now protected from the masking fluid getting into your brush. So what do you do when you have a piece of paper that has masking on it? Well, we're going to apply some paint to it in much the same way that we just did. I think I'm just going to use the same colors that I had. I'm going to rinse it off in the dirty water once again, just to make sure I've got the brush clean right down to the metal. Now this is not taped down to a board, so I might run into some problems with it warping, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. I just want to show you how to use this. This is just a small piece of paper. It's a nice way to make postcards if you want to send someone some love, no pun intended. And I'm going to do the same thing. Now that masking fluid has been down there for a good hour. That's nice and dry. I put it on a little bit thick so that the edges are nice and crisp. Sometimes our students will apply that a little bit too thin, and when they go to lift it and they've got those nice and beautiful colors, the edges are jaggedy and they're not too crazy about it. And again, I'm going to wait for the water to saturate. Now this is a Windsor Newton paper. It's a little bit different, but it's still 140 pound, 100% cotton. That's what you're looking for. This is a cold press. Both papers are a cold press. Hot press is a very smooth surface. And I applied more because it was a very uneven sheen. It wasn't quite moving on the top. I'm just very kind of haphazard and loose. not formal, like taped on a board. I'd like to show you can do this pretty much with anything. And now it's moving along the top. I've got a nice little puddle that's moving right here. And I feel like I have just a little bit too much, so I'm going to take some paper towel, let it kind of run down here, and there we go. Nice even sheen, not moving too much around. It's a little uneven, it's not going to the edges, but I'm not looking for perfection. Now this is a small piece of paper, and this is a huge brush, so I'm going to switch my brush out. I feel like this might be a bit too big too, unless I was going to use one color for the whole thing, but I'm going to use several colors. So I think I'm going to grab a brush I don't actually have over here. It seems like a nice size for the job here, according to the paper that I'm using. I'm going to check the sheen again, and it's already a little bit too dry, so I'm going to take the spray bottle and just mist it. You kind of see how why this water puddle is one of my favorites, because it's just a fine mist. It doesn't have that, like, once in a while you can get that spatter of water that's kind of annoying, especially if you've got paint or color, because when you add clean water to colors on paper, it acts as a lift. So it would leave white marks if I wanted something dark that might go against what I'm trying to do with my paper. So let me add some red right around where the mask is. Nice. Just gonna kind of bounce around. I often say, it's a little too polka dotty. This is what we do when it's a little too polka dotty. And my students say, what do you mean polka dotty? What do you mean? Well, I like to feed the color in an area to get it a little bit more saturated in the area, more vibrancy. So I've got these spaces of color instead of spots all over by themselves. What that does is allow me some areas that are going to allow the paint to play with other colors. Rinsing in the dirty water, patting on the paper towel, grabbing some clean water. Pat the paper towel, and I think I'm going to go with some yellow on this. There's a little white spot underneath the V here. I don't know if you can see that, because the glare is sometimes a little bit of an issue. There we go. So I'm going to put this right down there in the V, feed it for a while, and then let it come right out and play. Go in the middle of the E. When you've got areas that are totally enclosed by the masking fluid, you have to go in there separately. Make sure they get that color. I've got the song, All You Need Is Love, going through my head right now. I can't help it. I've been thinking that song all day long and just sending it out like a mantra to anyone who's just feeling isolated or just struggling with what's going on out there. Because really, all you need is love. I know, we need food and bills paid too. I know that, but when we feel love, it just helps us kind of shift our mindset just a little bit. So when I'm struggling, I kind of remind myself, I have people that love me. I have things that I love to do. And everything's going to be okay. What do you think? Okay, it's gathering the wells again. If it does that, you just do this. Let it go where it wants. Yeah, I'm trying not to, Sylvia, I'm trying not to get on my Bob Ross voice. I studied, well, I grew up with Bob Ross. And, well, sometimes when I oil paint especially, I start to sound like him. So using a resistance, that's one of the things you can do with those pours. And these are just very relaxing Zen ways that you can use art mediums to let go of the outcome and just explore with color and texture and your supplies. Get to know your brushes and get to know what your paints do. The watercolor pours are a fantastic way to learn what your paints will and won't do for you. Like the yellow is one of the weakest colors there is in the color wheel. So if I want yellow to really be seen in a watercolor, that's what I'm going to save using masking or saving the white of the paper, because that's the only way you're going to really see that unless you add other mediums on top of it. So I'm getting a little over myself, so that's a little beyond beginner. So today, so far, we covered this watercolor palette, which is a travel watercolor palette, one that you can use and pack up as you go with your sketchbook to the lake, which I will do hopefully this weekend. As soon as it's warm, I'm going to do live feeds at the lake and sketch in nature, show you how do you pick what to draw or what to paint when you're out in nature, because it's overwhelming for a lot of people. You have hills and trees, like where do you begin? So we'll cover that a little bit. I covered the brushes that I use and some that I don't use in watercolor. Just some masking fluid, beginner uses, and why watercolors have 2 containers of water, one for dirty and one to keep clean, so they have that clean wash going on. And I did mention in the tagline that I was going to talk a little bit about why I use this with my grandkids. So when my grandkids walk into Grandma's house, the first thing they say is, "Where's the paint?" So, and a lot of people that I talk to, or just over here, they really struggle with the mess. And watercolors is little to no mess. It's maybe a speck of water with a little color on the floor or the table. I generally will just set them up on either a kiddie table or the floor. The last holiday, I just really wanted to give them the freedom. Just paint as long as you want. Sometimes it's hours, you know. And the youngest is well, besides Aria, the youngest. We've got three, 4. We've got well, Peyton's 8 now, so she's 9 now. Oh my gosh, she just turned 9. Oh my God, that's terrible. So the age range is kind of wide. So to get them to play and create together, sometimes it's a bit of a challenge. But when watercolor gets involved, you can draw with it. You can splash with it. You can splatter with it. There's not a lot of limitations. And it's a super easy cleanup. So yesterday, or the day before yesterday, when I had them in the studio and they were painting, Spencer covers his whole hand, tons of different colors, and slaps it on the paper, and he can clean it up himself. He can go in the restroom and just slather up, and it's all gone. So it's not like a lot of marks all over the wall and splatters along the way. It's a fairly simple cleanup. It's non-toxic, and all their colors are right here, so you can talk about colors. It's a little easier to talk about the education, the mixing, because it's visual for them. This set comes with a lid that's like this for color mixing, and it's really hard for kids to use a small wells, so I generally will have a plate out, or a bowl, something flat that they can use as a mixing, and then we talk about the colors that they mixed. And that part is probably their favorite part. Sometimes they like to paint with it, very often, but their favorite part is how pretty they can get the paper towels by just like blotting that, and like that's their favorite part. Their art's over here, and they're showing me their paper towel and how pretty it is, and the plate as well. So embrace those parts of the arts. It's not always, and rarely in my world, about the product. It's about talking about color and creating something that doesn't necessarily look like what it's supposed to look like, but interacting with each other with just playing with paint and color and art mediums. So hopefully the kiddos are at home, you're encouraging them to paint and play, and just create in general. So I've got about 45 minutes under my belt with this one, and I think I'm going to end here. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, and I will definitely be back online. We'll do some more live streaming. We're still testing out these different systems and the equipment and the lighting and lots of other things, but this is just the beginning. We've created a membership page on artsandhealing.com, which is Liverpool's homepage, and we have a virtual classroom that's already in the works. It's already there. You can use it. We have a calendar page that shows you all of the free activities that we're putting on live on Facebook, which is morning meditations and art classes, art lessons. I'm having other artists Zoom in, and other wellness practitioners Zoom in as well, offering their guided meditations and other practices for arts and wellness, things that we use for our own well-being and coping skills. I think there's going to be a lot more to come to, and I'm just really glad you all tuned in today, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much.